In this video, I'm going to talk about 10 funny phrases in English that you need to know. Have you ever felt like the English language is a game, the rules of which are made up on the spot? Then you're in for a treat. Home to over 7,000 idiomatic expressions, and these expressions have a meaning that's different from the meaning of the individual words that make them up. English gets as colorful as a painter's palette when it comes to these. So let's go down the rabbit hole of 10 funny phrases in English together. And this might very well be the teacherly GPS that you need for the idiom maze that is part of your language learning journey. The first phrase is bite the bullet. Who'd want to bite the bullet? Apparently, patients back in the 19th century had to do this during surgery in order to cope with the pain. Why? Because anesthesia hadn't been invented yet. Today, bite the bullet means to face a difficult situation with courage and determination, I'll say. An example, I have to give a speech tomorrow, time to bite the bullet and hope for the best. The second expression is break a leg. This phrase comes from the superstitious world of theater. It was considered bad luck to wish an actor good luck, so good old reverse psychology was employed instead. The meaning, well, obviously, good luck or do your best before a performance. Example, break a leg, Sarah, you're going to be amazing on stage tonight. Phrase 3, barking up the wrong tree. Now, this one involves dogs, so obviously it's more to my liking. If you've ever made a false assumption about something, then you'll get this phrase. It comes from an early 19th century hunting practice, not something I approve of, but still, dogs might have barked at the base of the wrong tree after the prey had already left. So the meaning is to pursue a mistaken or misguided course of action. An example, you're barking up the wrong tree, Tim. I'm the one organizing the party, not Mike. Phrase 4, when pigs fly. This was first recorded in Scotland in the late 16th century, and it's one of the funniest idioms in the English language. It's basically the Scottish funny way of saying something is as likely to happen as pigs are to fly. The meaning, something will basically never happen. An example, if you imagine two friends speaking, the first one says, I heard Charmaine is going to start waking up at 5 a.m. to go jogging every day. And then the second friend says, Charmaine, waking up at that hour, I'll believe it when pigs fly. I think this illustrates the idiom very well. Phrase 5, cool as a cucumber. Alas, this isn't about vegetables wearing cool clothes or looking cool. Even in hot weather, the inside of cucumbers can be up to 20 degrees Fahrenheit cooler than the outside air, which is remarkable. The meaning is to remain calm, particularly in stressful situations. And an example, despite the technical glitch causing chaos in the meeting, Alex remained as cool as a cucumber. If you check out the blog post, which is the equivalent of this video in written form, you'll see a very cool looking picture of a cool looking cucumber in there. I'll link it in the video description below for you to check out. Phrase 6, raining cats and dogs. Now you'll hear this a lot in language classes, but it's a phrase that is rarely used in everyday English. It appears to date back to 17th century England. It could come from the Greek expression kataklysmos, which means flood or downpour, and it could actually be related, or another explanation for it is the association of cats and dogs with mystical forces controlling wind and rain according to ancient religions. And I must say, I like this explanation more. The meaning is to rain very heavily. So an example, I was planning on going for a walk, but look at that. It's raining cats and dogs out there, which is actually the case here where I am, incidentally. Phrase 7, a piece of cake. This is very, very common and it was popularized by the American poet Ogden Nash in the 1930s. He probably felt the same way as the rest of us about eating a piece of cake, deeming it an enjoyable and effortless act. The English idiom is related to the earlier phrase easy as pie used in Australia in the 1920s. And the meaning is that of a task that's easy to accomplish. So if you think of anything that's easy for you to do, you can use the phrase a piece of cake with that. An example, if Amy says, "How was the maths test?" Bob could reply, "Oh, it was a piece of cake." Phrase 8, best thing since sliced bread. Did you ever take sliced bread for granted just because it's so common? It didn't used to be. The phrase came into being only after sliced bread was commercially sold for the first time by the company called Wonder Bread in 1928. Then it quickly became popular as a labor-saving innovation. So the meaning is that of a great invention, a good idea or plan. An example, Jane asks, "Have you tried the new smartphone with the advanced camera features?" And Mark replies, "Yes, and let me tell you, it's the best thing since sliced bread." Phrase 9, blue in the face. Have you ever tried to argue a point for so long that you ran out of breath? This is where the phrase comes from, the change of color that occurs in this situation. The meaning is to be very angry or exhausted from the futile effort of trying to convince someone of something. If Lisa says, "I've been telling my brother for years to start exercising and lead a healthier lifestyle, but he just won't listen," Tom could reply, "You could talk to him until you're blue in the face, but sometimes people need to make their own choices." Expression 10, hold your horses. The last idiom on my list comes from the 19th century when people would literally have to do this. They would have to hold the reins tightly to stop their horses. So the meaning is quite logical, that of being patient, waiting a moment, or slowing down. If Michaela asks, "Is the food ready yet?" John could reply, "Hold your horses, it'll be a few more minutes." How can funny phrases in English benefit you as a learner, you might ask? As funny as they sound, why should I bother with them? These idioms can not only make you laugh, but also expand your vocabulary and enhance your understanding of native English speakers. In fact, as an English teacher, I'd say that this is the number one thing that prevents people from expressing themselves as native speakers when they learn English, a lack of idioms. Hilarious phrases will breathe life into your everyday conversations, and it will make them more engaging and natural. They'll add color to your language use. And it's just plain fun to keep these up your sleeve and surprise your listeners in the best possible way. You can't really go wrong with humor. So these funny idioms offer a peek into English-speaking cultures as well as human imagination. The next time it's raining cats and dogs, remember that learning new idioms might not always be a piece of cake, but it's always worth it because they're the best thing since sliced bread. If you don't succeed at first, just hold your horses, stay as cool as a cucumber, and bite the bullet if need be. Also, I guess, break a leg, but not literally, with your English language journey. Thanks for listening and see you soon.